Given the current levels that have been plotted on Euro AUD, is it possible long setup forming? So with this one, you can see global sideways. I don't think the algo is going to recommend a position when the market is kind of cushions at once. How to handle if the stop loss changes the next day? So if you're, let's say you took this trade and this stop loss, for whatever reason, this stop loss now moves higher up. In that case, you should not move your stop loss because your position size that you entered here is based on the stop loss, which is recommended risk percentage in 1 hour time frame. Lower time frames, 1% is good, 1.7, 1%. I wouldn't go over 1.7%. Most people do 1% though. I know some of you were interested in Dojo too. So we got, I think, 2 more spots left for this week. So guys, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Is the audio okay? Not too loud? All good. Perfect. Awesome. Welcome to the weekly Q&A, guys. If this is your first time, this is where we're gonna go through any questions you guys have about strategy mode, any of the trades you want to have reviewed on strategy mode. We can go through that as well. So if you guys have questions, put them into the chat box. Let's see what we can do. I think AUD NZD just hit TP today, TP1, TP2. Looks like it wants to go to TP3. We'll see if that happens today or tomorrow. But this one hit TP1, TP2. And then we had some trades really take off because of the vaccine news. Lots of these were repeated. Like for example, GJ, that one has been repeated a couple of times. And then your CAD, it's okay. I think I did recommend to take this one though. In the weekly market review, looks good. Your NZD, if you got the entry, you're on TP1, TP2, NZD CHF. This one hit TP1, TP2 as well today. Your yen is back on the entry. Nice. And this one still looks good. It's a repeated trade, but yeah, you can see it create a new low. That's what I like about this one, is create a new low. So if we look at this, you can see this was our top, lower high. This was a lower low, and you can see it create a new lower low. So you can see it's kind of playing this channel. So I think even though it's a repeated trade, I think it still has potential as long as it stays below this resistance here. Guys, any questions? Put them into the chat box, please. Bank of America. Yeah, this long entry looks good for buy. You can see it broke out of this consolidation. So we broke this here, this trend line we broke. Now we're waiting for us to come back to this level for retest and then go up. Your NZD, let's have a look. Let's draw out the lines. So this is how to see if a trade is repeated or not. So you draw out your lines on these levels. You see how many times it's been repeated. So this one, for example, we draw this out. You can see the entry. So first short entry was here. So this is the first time hitting TP. So if it comes back, it'll be your second trade. Second, okay. Of course, the first ones, those are always the best. If you get it on the first, on the second, then you can now take the other ones too. You can afford to lose. If you want to trade once or twice, you can afford to go in the third or fourth time, because then you already have profits built up from that trade. It's going to be the second time. I think it's still fine, in my opinion. It's not super repeated. The only thing with this is it's not, I guess looking at this, it's not that bad. If you look at this, we can see it broke out of this, again, this bullish channel. So you can see we broke that now. So we've been bouncing between this a couple of times. Now we broke it. Now we're going to go in for the retest and then come back down. So yeah, I think it's actually a good trade looking at it like this. TP1, TP2 is a pretty high chance on this, even though it's repeated. And then we'll just wait for TP3. Your CHF, if global is still down, just keep it. Sometimes, we've had this happen a lot of times where price got very close to a stop loss. I think stop loss a little bit further up. But yeah, I think we've had many cases where price went very close to the stop loss and then reversed, because the way our stop loss is placed is it's placed above a very strong resistance. And a lot of times that can push price back to the entry and back below the entry too. So because global is still down, I would say leave it the way it is for now. If it switches, then you can move to break even. But I would just keep it for now, because we've had many trades over the last few months that came close to stop loss, but then reversed, went back into profit. So I would keep it. Again, it can still hit stop loss, but if you look at the overall data from the past trades we've seen, is if global is still in your favor, there's no need to move to break even. There was one trade I was in, AUD JPY, not this trade we were in right now, but the one before that on AUD JPY. I was in drawdown for, must have been almost a month. I was in drawdown, and I didn't move to break even because the global was staying down the whole time. And one time it went back to my entry. Let me open this up. AUD I went back to my entry. I think it was let's see, I think it might have been, I got triggered here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 12 13. Yeah, sorry, it's 13 days. So I was in drawdown for 13 days, not a month. 13 days. So I got in here and it went above my entry, I could have gotten out at break even here, could have got out at break even here, could have gotten out at break even here. But because global kept staying down the whole time, you can see at the end, it came back, retested it again, and went into all the TPs. This trade is not here right now, but I'm just kind of playing it out for you. So sometimes you'll have this where, price takes a while to go to TPs and you'll be in drawdown. So in this case, I was in drawdown for 13 days. I got the entry here. Lots of you came into this trade on this retest. I was already in that trade from over here. When price went above, of course, this trade, left. The signal was no longer there, and the stop loss was further up. But you can see I was in drawdown for quite a while. I was debating, should I get out? Should I stay in? But if you can associate kind of those emotions with something that you can actually like see, it's way easier to not get out of the trade. So for example, if you can associate that emotion with a global trend, you can say, okay, global downtrend is still down. There's no need to get out. If you don't have any like a fact or anything to attach that emotion to, it's much easier to just get out and do like random mistakes. But if you have a rule that you can attach yourself to, that's a lot easier. So I didn't get out of this because global was down, and you can see it played out perfectly. And that could be the case with USH F2. Again, we don't know. Could also hit stop loss. We don't know. But it's important to have that rule because most of the time it'll work out in your favor. Yeah, the thing with news is any type of news, whether that's the vaccine that came out today or the vaccine news that came out today, or whether that's news on the calendar, like economical news that's scheduled in, you'll see, the news just makes the trade play out faster. So it's either going to push you into stop loss or take profit quicker. That's it. It just accelerates the result. So you can see today, we've hit quite a few positions hit TP, and we've also had, I think, one hit stop loss, or I think was close to stop loss. So again, it accelerates the result of the trade. That's pretty much it. So if you were in most of the trades, your winners should, outweigh your losses, especially for today. We've hit quite a few positions at TP. So yeah, that's my opinion on news. As long as you trade the chart on the daily, news will help you out and just move you into TP or stop loss quicker. Now, if you're trading lower time frames, that's different, right? If you're trading the 5-minute or the 50 or the 15-minute, that's a whole different ball game. News is not going to do that for you. It can wick you into stop loss and then go back into profit, because you're playing the low time frames. But when we're playing the daily time frame, news really doesn't affect us that much. Great question, guys. Yeah, so like today, I knew it was vaccines, but I really didn't care. Because if you for me, when I trade news, when I look at news, it changes my opinion of what I read on the chart. And the chart for me is always right. And if I get other signals from fundamentals or news or some politician, it's going to change my opinion of facts about price. And data like price doesn't lie. And even though fundamental analysis works, there's a delay on that. So let's say you get positive news, a lot of times the market doesn't reflect that right away. It can take a few days, it can take a few weeks for it to come to play. Same if there's negative news. Sometimes you'll see something negative happening and the prices go up. It doesn't make sense. So that's why I just trade, price action. And I've, over the last 5 years, that's been the most effective for me. So yeah, don't worry too much about news. But of course, it's fun to know why that happened. That's always good to know, of course. Any other questions? So if today, because we had that new news come in, we had some good breakouts. So you might see some new trades come in at the close of tonight. So because the algo is based on a daily, so every candle is 1 day, you'll have new trades pop up usually at the end of the day. So when the daily candle closes and the new one starts, that's usually when you get those new trades to come up. So hopefully we can see some more trades come on today or tonight. It's gonna be nice, but it might take a few more days just for the RTD and everything to catch up. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll get maybe 1 or 2 on the minors maybe. When trading the 1 hour time frame, it's important to close the trade within the same day. It depends on the trade. If you're trading the 1 hour, not necessarily. We can't control the how fast or slow the trade plays out. So if the trading idea is still valid and you're okay with holding, like if you're okay with holding overnight or for the rollover, then it's totally fine. For me, if it's very close to TP, then I'll just close it. I'm happy with that, and I'll close it and start the new day fresh. Or I'll close it in the next session. You don't want to close a position right when the rollover happens. So the rollover happens when New York closes. That's when the swap fees come in, the interest rates. You don't want to close or open any positions during that time. So you would want to close it right before that, or wait, 2 to 3 hours after that to close it. So it kind of depends on the trade. If it just got triggered, then just leave it. If it's very close to TP, then you can take it off. Given the current levels that have been plotted on Euro AUD, is it possible long setup forming? So with this one, you can see global sideways. I don't think the algo is going to recommend a position when the market is kind of consolidating. So there's nothing here right now. We did have a buy position here before. So it might do that again just to play the consolidation. I doubt it, but it could happen. So we had a buy position here before, where we bought kind of these lows here, which worked out fine. But yeah, it's been repeated a couple of times. Eventually this thing could break. You can see local is down too. So you can see locals down, global is kind of switching too. Don't trade the crossovers, but yeah, just a thing to note. Usually what happens is, well, this level has been holding for a long time. So you can see it's been holding till like from basically since July last year. This level has been holding. If that level breaks, I think it's going to be a pretty steep fall if it breaks these extensions. But yeah, like a consolidation breaks, it usually goes out the way it came in. So here you can see this is a consolidation. You can see it came in bearish, so it's probably going to leave bearish too. Especially if the local stays down and the global is starting to gain some more bearish momentum, then you'll see it popping down into the downside. But yeah, nothing to do here yet. Of course, you could play X mode on the support. I don't really trade the miners, and this thing has been repeated lots of times, so it's not a trade I'd recommend. At this moment, Navigator tells me that there's 7 minutes left of today's trading session. On your screen it says 1 hour and 7 minutes. Why is that? So this is the daily. Are you looking at the daily time frame or the 4 hour? And then are you looking at the Oanda data feed or Forex? 1 hour. Okay, yeah, that explains it. Yeah, because it should be the same. Perfect. Any other questions, guys? I know some of you were interested in Dojo too. So we got, I think, 2 more spots left for this week. So if you think about the Dojo, there's 2 more spots left for this week on Wednesday, if you're looking to join that. All shares on IC markets have minimal position size of 10. When chargeable gives you a position of 6.8 for McDonald's, should I take one trade for 10 only? So is the split 6.8 or is it the entire trade? Oh, 6.8 divided by 3. Okay, got it. Yeah, just take one only. Yeah, if your account size is not big enough for any of the trades, whether that's stocks or Forex, always just use one position with a position size that makes sense. Yeah, which is the recommended risk percentage in 1 hour time frame. Lower time frames, 1% is good. 1.7, 1%. I wouldn't go over 1.7%. Most people do 1% though. 1% is a good number, or 0.5 works too. I saw someone asking on the YouTube about your USD. So if you're in your USD, you can stay in for now just because global sideways. If global goes down, then you can move to break even. Yes, 1% risk for if you're trading X mode, but it's up to you, right? You can risk 1.7, you can risk 2%, you can risk 3%. Just what most people do is 1%. That's what a day trader usually risks on a trade. If you're trading like the even lower time frames, then 0.5, like if you trade in the 5 minutes, some people do 0.5% because they get more trades. So the reason you don't need to risk 3% is because you get more trades. So let's say you can take 3 trades in a day, that's going to be 3% for the risk for the day. If you trade strategy mode, if you're swing trading, you can risk 3% for a trade because you're not going to find that many trades. So you need to put on more per trade. But even when you're day trading, make sure you don't overexpose. So don't open too many positions at the same time. For me personally, I always usually go like one trade at a time. That works quite well because I'm trading at low time frames, so I don't need to open too many positions at once. How to handle if the stop loss changes the next day? So if let's say you took this trade and this stop loss, for whatever reason, this stop loss now moves higher up. In that case, you should not move your stop loss because your position size that you entered here is based on the stop loss. So it's giving you a specific position size to enter so you don't lose more than 3.5% when this stop loss gets hit. If you move this stop loss higher, you're going to be losing more than 3.5, which is something we don't want to do. Now, let's say, you're in a short, it's going well. This stop loss gets moved further down for whatever reason. Then you can move your stop loss down. because then you're going to be reducing your risk. But anytime that the stop loss is increased, which means it takes longer for price to hit your stop loss, then you don't want to move it. Just stick to the original values, because then you're going to be losing more than you should have. How many positions at the same time are recommended in daily time frame with strategy not to be overexposed? Generally speaking, if you go above 5, that's really when you're going to be overexposed most of the time. I usually have three to 4 running max. Usually I can't get above 4 without overexposing. Three is good. Of course, the more trades, the more exposure you have. Like for example, today, right? News affected pretty much all the currencies. So there's gonna be times when you think you're not overexposed. All the currencies are not even the same ones. You can still be affected. So even though the currencies are different, it's not the same base pair, or it's not the same currency at all. Still keep it tight. 2 to 4 max is what I would do, or 3 to 5 I think is okay, because if something goes south, something happens, it's something unexpected, then you're not going to be overexposed. But I think the navigator right now, if you look on if you compare the currencies and make sure you don't have more than 1 or 2 trades open per currency, I don't think you should be going over than 4 trades usually at the same time. If they're pending, that's fine. I'm talking open trades. If you get over that, then it's probably going to be overexposed. If stop loss moves closer to entry, then do you then also move TPs closer to entry? No, you can keep the TPs the same. So the general rule of thumb though is, let's say you set up a trade, just keep the trade the way it is. Even if the algo recalculates, keep it the way it is when you set it up. That's going to be the best case scenario, because the trade that you set up is one trading idea. If the algo recalculates, it's basically another trading idea. And if in the future that's going to be basically fixed, where you can go back and look at all the trading ideas. Right now, the way the levels work and with the way the navigator works is you can't go back and look at them. So when the levels change, it's also going to change the trade that you see. But the depending orders that you enter in, that's your trading idea, and you shouldn't change it. So just set it up and stick to it. Yeah, if the TPs change, sometimes what you'll see is TP3 is further down. If that changes, you can move it further up. But even then, you can still keep it the same, because again, the trading idea is still the same. It doesn't change. The algo just recalculated levels because it got new data. So best rule of thumb, just set it up and then don't play with it. Because there was one trade on USDCHF a couple of weeks ago. I had that trade set up, but it never got triggered. And then so it triggered a few weeks ago, but I put it on like in June or July, and it got triggered I think around last month, and it went into TPs. So I totally forgot that I had that thing set up, but it came back, hit my entry, went into profit. Even though the algo didn't even show anymore because time has already passed, but I was still able to kind of capture that trade, because again, like previous price history doesn't just change. So if the algo gives you a trade idea right now, it can just change. That trading idea is there for a reason, because it's based on historical data. So you can't change historical data. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yeah, just set it up and forget. Your GPP hit TP1 to TP1. Yeah, didn't quite go to TP2 yet. Your CAD hit TP3. Looks like AUD NZD is still going. Yeah, if we get a strong close above this, below this N, we'll go into the TP3 on this too. All right, guys, thanks for joining this week's Q&A. If you guys have further questions, you can put them into the global chat. And then also, if you have further questions, you can put them into the YouTube comments if you want. This recording will be up sometime this week or next week. And yeah, but if you guys have questions, the team is available on the global chat anytime. Lots of cool people in there. If you're not in there yet, there should be a link you should be able to find in your week 2 training or week 1 library. So check that out if you're not in a global chat yet, or just send someone a message on Telegram and then they can add you to that group. All right, guys, see you next week. Bye-bye.